Boxing Ego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang, notification gang, please hit the bell icon. Shout out to the Super Chats, channel donations, the Venmo donations, and the Patreon family. We working. Now, I started doing this post-fight live on a live stream. I don't know what it is, but YouTube keeps crashing, and it's interrupting the middle of the stream, so I can't finish. You know what I mean? So we're going to do it the old-fashioned way, where I give you guys my thoughts, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, hate to say I told you so, but I told you so. A lot of people... y'all should have just listened to me. A lot of y'all act surprised, and I've been telling you, if you listen to old videos covering this fight, while motherfuckers was saying Danny Garcia versus Brandon Rios is the ultimate cherry pick, and this sucks, and Rios is a punching bag, doing all this extra, I sat up here and told you, I like what I'm seeing from Rios. He looks motivated. He has nothing to lose. Looks like he got his weight down. He's training hard. I also told you that Garcia, conventional wisdom, you would have to pick Garcia. I mean, just because he's the fresher fighter. But I also said this will be a better fight than a lot of people think. And now after the fight happens, I'm hearing a lot of people say that. Like, oh, I didn't think it would be this much of a challenge, or I didn't think it would be that. But I told you. See, the thing is, people got to look at, you got to look at all the puzzle pieces. You know what I'm saying? And Danny Garcia, he's no longer undefeated, so we don't know what that did to him. Like if he lost any confidence or struggled with depression, like Kell Brooks said after he lost to Errol Spence. He's been out over a year because he last fought Keith Thurman in March. Brandon Rios, like I said, has nothing to lose. Come in focus. It's more of an opportunity for him. And I told you that in the previous video. If you think about it, if Brandon Rios, like just, even if he lost, but he made Danny Garcia look bad and put up a hell of a fight, like if he didn't get knocked out, that does more for his career than if Danny Garcia just went the distance and beat him on the cards. You know what I'm saying? Because we've seen Danny Garcia beat Lucas Matisse on the cards, stop Amir Khan. You know what I mean? So it was more at stake for Danny Garcia to look good. And ultimately he did that by getting a knockout in the 9th round. But I wasn't surprised by what I seen. With, like I said, you got to look at all the puzzle pieces. Danny Garcia, long layoff, coming off a loss. Brandon Rios, he doesn't come to lay down. You know what I mean? And the Brandon Rios that showed up, actually, he did a really good job. Like, I don't think he had a horrible game plan or see, there's different fights where a person will lose, but they were capable of winning. But they lost because they had a horrible strategy, or they didn't use their tools, or they made the fight harder. Like, here's an example of a fighter who made the fight harder. Timothy Bradley, when he fought Ruslan Provodnikov. Even though he won the fight, he had a concussion. He was talking about he couldn't speak for 2 weeks and all this shit. So that fight could have been a lot simpler if he wouldn't have tried to come out like he's Gennady Golovkin or some macho puncher, and he would have just boxed Ruslan. Clearly, he has the athletic ability. He's faster than Ruslan and stuff like that. And he could have did what he did after he got concussed and hurt, which was to outbox Ruslan Provodnikov. Put it together, be smart, stuff like that. But he made that fight harder. So in this case, in the case of Brandon Rios, I don't think him losing this fight was so much he was fighting the wrong fight or he was making crazy mistakes. And you could say what happened when he got knocked out was a mistake because he got lazy, and I think he threw a lazy jab. And I told you, Danny Garcia has crazy timing. My top 2 intangibles for Danny Garcia: timing and his counterpunching ability. And Brandon Rios got caught. He got caught with the shot. At first, I was like, I think that it was a premature stoppage a little bit, even though we knew Brandon Rios was hurt. But then the more I thought about it, and then when they start showing the replay, it was a good stoppage. Kenny Bayless did what he was supposed to do, because he was like, hey, are you okay? And Brandon Rios was like, yeah. And then he was like, all right. He was like, walk towards me. And then Brandon Rios did this like stutter step Like he galloped and it like, you know what I'm saying? He didn't look stable. So I don't know. After further review, like watching the replay and stuff, it was a good stoppage because he didn't look stable. And Danny Garcia was fresh enough. He's a killer, you know what I'm saying? If he knows he has you hurt, he's gonna try to put some big punches together. So to me, it was kind of inevitable if you really think about it. Yes, it could have went on, but it doesn't make sense. His legs looked bad. He wasn't clear-headed, and it was kind of like Danny Jacobs versus Peter Quillin. It would just be for the sake of continuing the fight to give someone a chance to go out on their shield. And I actually talked to Peter Quillin. I got to interview him to upload soon. And I asked him about the stoppage if he agreed with it. But Brandon Rios, he did a good job. He was applying pressure, throwing punches. I don't think he looked like everyone was saying he's so shop worn, and he didn't look bad. He just got caught. You know what I'm saying? The fresher fighter, the guy with a ton of experience, the more recent activity, even though he has off a layoff. I think he's just the better fundamental fighter. You know what I mean? But the fight was what I expected. I felt Danny Garcia would win, but Brandon Rios wasn't coming to lie down. Especially, it's like a second chance in his career. First part of his career, he was with Top Rank. Then his contract ended, and nobody was really calling him, and he was like, you know what I mean, unemployed on the shelf with no fights for like a year plus. So he knows how that felt. And then he switched around trainers, got back with Robert Garcia. You know what I'm saying? So I think he was motivated. So I don't really think like I said, he did anything crucially wrong. And see, we got to talk, man. When I talk boxing, I give you guys a fair shake. A lot of people, they can't separate emotions from breaking down a fight, breaking down a fighter, things like that. You got to be able to, because some of you guys aren't fair. Like I still see people say, "Oh, Danny Garcia, he's a cherry picker, he sucks." And I'm like, why? Oh, Rod Salka. Like, Rod Salka was in 2014 when Al Heyman was still working with Golden Boy. That was a long time ago. Was that a shitty fight? Absolutely. But you're still talking about Rod Salka. You know what I'm saying? That's like somebody getting fired from a meaningless job that they had in 2014, and it's 4 years later, and you already have another job. I mean, are you really gonna be tripping that you got fired from Wendy's Square Hamburgers? You know what I'm saying? Or something stupid. Hey, remember 4 years ago when they fired me? You know what I mean? Get off that. What about your life now? You know what I'm saying? And when it comes to Danny Garcia, a lot of people just hate they hate him, they hate his dad, they hate just different stuff. Like, just peep the logic. Timothy Bradley got with Teddy Atlas, stopped Brandon Rios. People made excuses. He got stopped to the body. Oh, Brandon Rios was on the couch too long. He was inactive. He was this, that, and the third. Bradley's not even a big puncher. It's really because Brandon Rios was out of shape. Blah, blah, blah. So fast forward to the future. Danny Garcia coming off a loss and a long layoff. Brandon Rios had a fight on PBC, and he actually stopped a guy that I think fought Josecito Lopez or something after, and Josecito didn't stop him, or Jesse Vargas, somebody like that, right? So he hadn't been as inactive as when he fought Timothy Bradley, and we all seen that he was in better shape. So you got to give him credit. You know what I mean? People said, "Oh, I can't give Bradley credit because Rios was out of shape." Well, he wasn't out of shape in this fight, and he didn't get stopped to the body. He got stopped with a headshot. And if you've ever watched Brandon Rios, he can absorb a headshot, pause, pretty well. You know what I'm saying? If anything, getting stopped to the body, okay, you got a gut and you're susceptible to that. But Brandon Rios, I've seen several of his fights. He took headshots all day from Mike Alvarado and just different Diego Chavez and stuff like that. So to see Danny Garcia stop him and have his head spinning all crazy, like that was a crazy knockout. It was very well timed, feet planted. I mean, the way you know it was crazy because, like I said, Brandon Rios' head was all concocted and spun around all crazy. That is kind of like, I think it was Porky Medina when he fought David Benavidez, and he got hit with like a 1,000-piece combo, and then the final punch, his head went all side to side and crazy. You know what I'm saying? When guys get hit like that, it's usually a wrap after that. You know what I mean? And that's what Danny Garcia produced. So I understand you want to see Danny Garcia fight Errol Spence or Sean Porter, but you got to deal with it by a case-by-case basis. As far as his performance, he did what he was supposed to do. Moving on, Sean Porter hopped in the ring on Danny Garcia. I've talked to the Porters. They want the fight. They've been wanting to fight. That's a good fight. I love that fight. And actually, since Keith Thurman's trying to get his shit together, meaning coming off of an injury, and he's already told you he's not fighting no top 5. Sean Porter and Danny Garcia should both be in the top 5. Right? So Keith Thurman already made that perfectly clear. He's not fighting nobody in the top 5 as his get back fight or whatever he's talking about. He's not even fighting Jesse Vargas, who Pacquiao recently beat. Right? So I think a good idea would be to see Danny Garcia and Sean Porter in the interim to decide who really deserves the rematch with Keith Thurman. Because Keith Thurman, his best victories on his whole resume, Danny Garcia and Sean Porter. And he did it back to back. Now they both want to rematch. They asked post-fight after he knocked out Brandon Rios, they asked Danny Garcia if he would like a Thurman rematch, and he said yes. And he lost his belt, his WBC belt, to him. So he wants it. Sean Porter wants a rematch. So while they're waiting for Keith Thurman to test out his elbow or whatever, I think they should fight each other. It's already a cool backstory with call-outs and exchange of words, as you've seen tonight. And then that'll determine who really deserves the rematch with Keith Thurman. Because they can't, I mean, Keith Thurman's talking about fighting 2 times this year. So realistically, they both can't fight Keith Thurman this year. You know what I mean? Because Keith Thurman's coming back in May. Like I said, he said it's not going to be a top 5 person. Not going to be a top 10, he even said. So that already rules them out. So they scrap in the summertime. And then October, November, December, fight Keith Thurman. Boom. But Danny Garcia he looked sharp. He looked sharp on the counters. See, again, some people I don't know if they watch boxing or they just repeat what they hear another fighter or trainer or tweet say. But I didn't see people, oh, Danny's ring rusty and he looked like the same Danny Garcia. You know what I'm saying? Maybe there's a little bit of cobwebs. I didn't really see that. He was moving laterally. He didn't seem fatigued. He was picking his spots, picking his shots. One subtle thing he was really doing that I liked was he was investing to the body. He even did the Floyd Money Mayweather dagger to the body where he just get low and stab to the body. He was doing that to Brandon Rios in the early rounds. So stuff like that pays dividends late when the fighters both start getting tired. Now that you dump to the guts and invested to the body, you have an advantage. You know what I'm saying? Because they're even more tired because you place those well-placed body shots. But he was jabbing, he was moving, sticking and moving. He's just really outboxing. And I tell you guys all the time, guys like Brandon Rios, they typically they're fun to watch, and I've met Rios. He's a good dude, you know what I'm saying? Sense of humor, family man, all that. But your shelf life is going to be shorter if you don't work on your defense at the elite level. At least it's almost impossible. That's why I'm picking Canelo to beat Golovkin in the rematch, because defense matters at this elite level. You know what I'm saying? And the human brain and the skull is not meant to just get cracked several times. And I've seen it time and time again where people who have known granite chins, at some point in their career, those chins start cracking. It's like a crack in the windshield. If you keep driving on the freeway and another rock hits it and another rock, and they could be tiny rocks, but eventually you're going to be driving and these semis that are flicking these tiny rocks that created a small crack, and then it keeps happening time and time again. It may not happen the first 3 months, 6 months, maybe in the first year, but eventually that windshield is going to crack, and that's really what happens. So all the people, oh, the warriors and these guys are runners, and that shit is for the birds, because you see what happens. I never seen Brandon Rios get knocked out with the headshot, but he lacks defense, and even though he was doing well in the fight, he got caught slipping. You know what I mean? Ring IQ and you know what I mean? Not having that ring IQ with defense, and his head going all crazy. Your brain's not set up for all that. So it was a good fight. To be honest, based on how Brandon Rios looked and how Victor Ortiz looked versus Devin Alexander, since they both fought on the same night, they might as well just fight. You know what I mean? I want to see Brandon Rios versus Victor Ortiz. It's not the same as if they would have fought when Rios was undefeated, but you know what I mean? I would still watch that. I think like I said, Brandon Rios had a pretty good account of himself, considering who he was up against. He was in there with a good counter puncher, and He made it as much of a challenge as he could, and he got clipped. That's my thoughts. Let me know how you break down the fight. What's next for Danny Garcia? Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Make sure you smash the like button. As always, hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.